We're out here in Ahwatukee visiting with the guys at Wicked Brews Ales and Spirits, right?
Brews,
Brews, Bites, and Spirits. I was going to screw that up. Anyway, the brewery, Wicked Brewery out here in Ahwatukee, right off the freeway, I-10, 48th Street area, 50th Street. We're here with the owner, Chip Mahoney, and head brewer, Zach Schroeder. Thanks, guys, for having us in. Obviously, when I look around, it's a Kansas City Chiefs bar, so congrats on the Super Bowl win.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a good run. All Kansas, so they've had one hell of a year out there in Kansas.
So what makes this a Kansas City bar?
Well, we had a lot of KU fans that were coming in, and we started a KU fan club last year and ended up winning the national championship, and it was the largest KU bar in Arizona, and we were killing it. We have a great fan base, and from there we have some employees, we have staff members that are fans. I'm a fan, and we had a lot of the KU fans that wanted to say, let's make it a KC bar too. And so this is our first year, and we had an opportunity to join the Chiefs Kingdom. The biggest one is Pub Rock in Scottsdale. And we were able to join, and I think capacity wise, we became the largest ability to do it. Pub Rock's still the most popular and been around for a long time, but we had this place packed.
And we were awesome. Talking before we started this, like, I always am curious about that. And you were saying that you didn't start this off with an idea of becoming a Chiefs bar, but it just kind of happened with the local fans around here, right?
One thing that we wanted to do when we first got this place is we wanted to let the community kind of help formulate this. We wanted it to be a community pub and brewery. And so when we got that, and we a lot of our regulars that came in and our KU fan base helped design that to be a Chiefs bar. But we've got 2 national championships under our belt right now. We got a college basketball, and we got the Super Bowl. So
and only being open since late 2020, 2 championships already. You guys know how lucky you are to have that. I mean, you're here in Arizona, like the desert wasteland of sports, and you guys, I mean, as a football fan myself, as a Chiefs, if you guys like the Chiefs, you know how lucky they are to have Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, it's amazing to have it. And now you have all these Monday morning quarterbacks, like, they drafted him at 10. Why did he not, and they moved up, and
for sure.
And they were smart as hell. I mean, he's a once in a lifetime quarterback, and the smart people looked at him and saw it and jumped up and grabbed him.
So where does Wicked now get its name? Coming back to your origin story, you started building this place on this idea in 2020, late 2020. That must have been fun, right?
It was right in the middle of COVID. It was tough. We had Zach and I started this venture all the way back in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, it definitely was before the pandemic started. So it was more fun to plan a business back then.
Yeah.
And I feel like you and I had worked together a lot to put it together. And then it kind of went not by the wayside, but we had to kind of put it away because then the pandemic did hit, and hell, I didn't talk to Chip for a few months there because, we were batting them down the hatches, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know what was going to happen. It was an idea on paper in those days. And then I think the opportunity came because of the pandemic, for this particular spot. But yeah, it was on paper before it, and it was a lot of fun putting it together. It definitely changed shape, I think, a little bit during that time to get it open during the pandemic. But, that's just the way the stars align sometimes,
We had to readjust, and it was, it's kind of bittersweet with, the pandemic. It gave us an opportunity, but it took an opportunity away from some other places. And we'd actually looked at, we had 3 or 4 locations that we were ready to do this for, and this is my backyard. I've lived in Ahwatukee for 17 years. And so I called up Zach and go, I think we got the place. And
this place is the former Uncle Bear's location, right?
Yes.
I noticed when I walked in that there's still like the dog bone thing on the front. Is that left over from them?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Uncle Bear's is a great brewery, and they're still around, but this location just didn't fit for them. And we still have some things, some of the artwork in the light fixtures and the door handles.
Are there pictures of dogs still up?
There are not pictures of dogs anymore, but we are still dog friendly.
I always like that about them is, you get the photos of like actual customers' dogs that they would submit and put up on the wall. So
it's the Great Wall of Dogs.
Yeah,
that's the part of the concept. It's a good thing. I mean,
so when you moved in here, were there all the like brewery facilities still set up, or did you guys have to work behind the scenes to kind of bring in your own stuff?
That was one of the things that we did when we did purchase the place. We purchased this in 15 days during the pandemic.
And I don't know a whole lot about that. Is that like record time, that kind of turnaround?
I kind of think it is. I'm not sure. We took a look at it on October 1st, and we're like, we got to close by the 15th, and Zach and I were like, okay. And so we got all the paperwork together, and we didn't really have much time. So we came and took a look at it, and all the brewery facilities we bought from Uncle Bear's, it was part of the original in here, but they had it in storage. And so we had to go get that out of storage and bring it back here. And then they turned this into like a game room, and they took out all the piping for the steam, for the glycol, for everything.
Yeah.
So it was
more of like a tap room at that point.
Yeah. It was more of a tap room, and what we had to do is it took us it moved us back 6 months on our brewing.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think we got open. What was it? Something like, I want to say we got open. Was it October-ish or something?
October 15th.
Yeah.
Or
October.
No,
15th.
November 12th was our opening day.
We got the keys in October. We got open in November. I want to say it was early springtime. So maybe like March and April, we got our first batch done. You got to figure we were actually brewing probably a few weeks before that. So it took us 2-3 months to get it up and running. The infrastructure had been basically taken out, to the point where they could make the area game room.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of go back and reverse that and put the steam lines back in the glycol. But that's, the basis of the brewery. Put the infrastructure back in and get the tanks moved back in, rearrange everything to make it work the way we wanted it to, and then make good beer.
And now jump forward. Now, what am I having? Because this is very clean. It's a little bit of fruits. Number 4.
I believe
on my flight, by the way. Good radio here, but we're talking about beers, a flight of beers here, and I can't remember what Morgan brought me over, but
I believe she. It looks like she brought you the Go Half Yourself.
Oh, okay.
It's our Hefeweizen.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of Hefeweizens in my arsenal at home or that I choose to drink, but they're always very pleasant. Like this one's very, very crushable and drinkable. It's got that slight little bit of, or it's very clear. Whereas like some other hefts you might think of might be a little bit darker, hazier, but
right.
This one's got nice clarity to it. A nice balance of fruit in that. Tell me a little bit about this beer.
Well, when it comes to Hefeweizen, I went through a traditional Hefeweizen. I feel like for years and years ago, back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, Hefeweizen, especially out here in the warmer climate, was a big deal.
Sure.
Everybody wanted a wheat beer. It was again quenchable. It was refreshing. It was one of those things. So in climates like this, that was it became a really popular beer. I think Hefeweizen was the one that kind of led with that. And over the years, it seemed like a lot of the brewers kind of gravitated towards more of the Belgian white version of a wheat beer. And, wheat beer is wheat beer. I mean, you can kind of go anywhere you want with it, but it seemed like that's the direction everybody seemed to go. And that might have been because of, the big boys doing the Blue Moons and the Shock Tops or whatever. But I felt like the Bavarian Hefeweizen kind of went by the wayside. Still a great style of beer, and it's still the same, refreshing, just thirst quenching beer that needs to be. So this leads me into kind of my whole philosophy behind putting the beer program here together is that I wanted to bring back some of the classic craft styles. And this Bavarian Hefeweizen being one of those. I felt like everybody loved it when it happened, and I went to the open spot on the court, like the coach always said, and I made the Bavarian Hefeweizen, and it's not long forgotten, but not a lot of people are brewing it, and but it's still just as refreshing and thirst quenching as the Belgian whites and all the other ones everybody's making.
Sure.
And I went back to that point where you got that nostalgic flavor. Right, you've got the banana and clove.
It really is, yeah.
Almost that, bubble gum is almost in there, and I feel like it's one of those lost styles.
Sure.
Not a lot of people want to take on a Bavarian Hefeweizen for some reason. And trends are what they are, but this was dear to my heart. This recipe essentially, we tweaked it just for Wicked, but I feel like we're again the open spot in the court with. Not a lot of competitors are making a Bavarian Hefeweizen. Sure. And we're in a very warm climate, warm market where we're drinking beer year round in the weather.
What kind of beer do you want to be known for best here at Wicked?
Shoot. Good beer, obviously. Right?
That's a good category, right? Yeah. Is there a flagship or one that you might see that people flock to more than others, your customers?
When we first opened up, our flagship was the Witch of the West. So it was a West Coast IPA. Zach killed it. Very drinkable IPA. One thing I learned, nice working with someone that's 30 years experience, is I learned so much in the brewery business being with Zach. But one thing, let's make a beer that's drinkable.
Yeah. And
make a really good West Coast IPA that people can have. We don't need to go to triples and quad IPAs. Let's make something that's really that tastes great, that's consistent. So that's probably our flagship.
Is that one here on this flight here? Is that, I'm thinking this one?
Yes.
I think it's this one right here.
All right, I'm going to try it out here.
And it's a really good, excellent West Coast IPA, and we go through it tremendously. And it was our number one for the longest time. And then Zach wanted to do a seasonal, and we ended up doing a Mexican lager, and he did the 3 sheets cerveza, and it just took off, and it just soared to our number one. He killed it on this recipe. I think it should win awards. I mean, it's my go-to whenever I want to drink it. It's especially in Arizona, it's very drinkable for where it's at.
That might be one of our best styles as Arizona as a collective, like that Mexican lager.
Yeah.
So, I think some of the breweries out here do just way beyond what else. You can get at a store, something from like Stone or something, but nothing compares to, say, like, your Mexican lager, or I had one at 100 Mile that was just like out of bounds, like so good and refreshing. And that's a style that you see more and more that the breweries that we talk to really try to hone in on.
Right. And so we've done that. And then in our third one, we probably have a 2A, which is the Sweet D. It's a very drinkable blonde. And that one is, you can talk a little bit about those two styles and how you came up with them, but we have really 3 good beers that fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
Or out of the taps.
To give some people or the listeners your background story, Zach, we worked a long time at what was Sonoran Brewing, or I guess Sonoran's still around, and it was Phoenix Ale Brewing, right? So you have your experience from there. Are a lot of these styles kind of spill over from that? Because I always remember, being able to find a Camelback IPA and Biltmore Blonde at Chase Field. I love that. Now you can't get anything really local there anymore, right?
No, what I wanted to do with this was, there's a lot of things when you open a new brewery, right? You want to kind of create your character. And here, I literally wanted to go back to my roots a little bit more. I love, everything we did at Phoenix Ale, and obviously Sonoran I still love because it's, pays the bills. But, I wanted to, go back and then reinvent too a little bit. So I went back to some real old classic styles. And I approached those styles in a way I would have done it about 20 years ago, because I felt that it's been lost. You know what I mean? And I felt like a lot of our clientele here, especially in Ahwatukee, we're still running around from the old days of the rock bottom that used to be across the street. And my clientele isn't. I don't feel like they're chasing the new age stuff. There's a lot of new styles and new trends and things in this industry, but I think the people in my neighborhood here, they want to enjoy their beer and relax, and I think that's what beer is supposed to do for you, right? Is make your have an enjoyable time. So I think the customers that come to us here, I feel like they appreciate some of the old styles, and that's what I'm going for. And then we're going to find our own character here. The guests always lead us to where we got to go. Clearly, there's, with those new trends and things, that's some things I'm constantly being asked for is the hazies and the sours and things like that. So I'm going to do that in my own way. So we'll work our way into that, but we've got to balance these things and make it, approachable for all the drinkers. This isn't necessarily a craft beer place. We are a craft brewery, but we want everybody to come in. We want everybody to have a good time. So, I brew the beers with the mindset that I want everybody to enjoy them. I'm not trying to break the records on IBUs or alcohol content or things like that. I just want to have a nice, pleasurable drinking experience. And every time I write a recipe, it's all based on what's going on in the kitchen. If I don't have a menu item that we can pair it with or whatever, it's not going to work. It's the sum of the parts here. And so, I brew along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, I can taste that in this West Coast. I can taste kind of that bitterness, but there's almost like a sweety, fruity juiciness on the back there that really mellows out the bitterness that you would get from a typical West Coast that approaches this color. But really, really good drinkable. Is this now? I'm drinking off a flight. Is that a normal flight here at Wicked? That's
a normal flight?
That's a great flight. I love that because I'm looking at that. That looks like half a beer in front of me on four of those. So.
Oh, it's a full beer. I think it's 4.5 ounces, so it's over 16 ounces.
Okay. No, I was thinking each one looked like half one. I mean, it goes up. It's a good flight. Yeah, it's a good flight. So obviously known for being the brewery side, but also your food and spirit side, that part of it. We were talking before this that you brought over so many of the people that you worked with in the industry, including your chef, and he just has been nailing it since you guys opened the door, right?
Our kitchen team is unbelievable. I basically have 3 chefs back there for a small little local brewery pub. It's very good. But Chef G he's the leader of the pack, and he wrote the initial menu for us and adapted to it. Since then, he comes up with our all of our St. Patrick's Day menus, all of our Oktoberfest menus. You put him on a task and he'll come up with great recipes. Him and Mike and Bert back there, they all work together to really create really, really great recipes.
You mentioned a couple of big kind of, I guess, event center days on the calendar. Is that a big thing here at Wicked, like to really get behind like a St. Patty's Day type of day, an Oktoberfest kind of celebration?
Yeah. So when we did our last Oktoberfest, I can't remember the name of it out in Mesa, but I took my food purveyor, my entire team, including Zach, Creighton, my marketing director, Dee, my wife, who is a manager here, and Mikey. I took the entire team, and we walked in, and it's a small little German restaurant. And we sat down, and she goes and gets us all these beers, and it's beautiful. They got these big, huge jugs of beer that they give you, 32 ounces. And so she gets her pad out, and she goes, "What do you want?" I go, "I just want everything on the menu." She goes, "What?" She goes, "No, I just just make the entire menu. And so she goes, okay. And so they made the entire menu.
Wow.
And we just kind of said, this is authentic German food. Can we celebrate Oktoberfest for a month and bring in some of these items? And what are the best items that would be best that would help represent Oktoberfest? And I think we came up with a pretty good menu for it.
Yeah, Oktoberfest has always been really dear to my heart. When I worked with Streets of New York years ago, the founders and owners were from Germany, and it was a big deal for them. And that's kind of one of the reasons I'm also very German. That's one of the reasons I got behind it. But to me, it was very important to do it. I thought it was, it was just a great experience. To me, it was the best version of food and beer meeting in the middle. And then I think for Wicked Brews, Bites, and Spirits, the most important thing for us here is the customer's experience. And every day, that should change a little bit. We get these wonderful opportunities like Oktoberfest and St. Patrick's Day to put on a new version of that experience. So that's what gets us excited a little bit. When you've got something with a theme like Oktoberfest, I know everybody likes to do the party. They do one in downtown Tempe, and a lot of places do an Oktoberfest. We wanted to do something traditional and incorporate the food, the beer, and then the fun that happens in the middle, and make that a Wicked thing.
Yeah.
And I think we did a really good job of that.
And we're doing it for St. Patrick's Day too.
Yeah. And this is like customer experience. You come in here and you got like 2 bars up here. We're sitting in the upper,
The Brewer's Den.
Yeah, a Brewer's Den. Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a bar area here, a couple of high tops, and I just see TVs everywhere, and that's something that a lot of breweries kind of shy away from. That I've found, like they don't want sports on TV for whatever reason. They want people to just chat and drink their beer. But why is it that you guys have this place with like sports all over the place? What's behind that?
Well, I'm the operations guy. I'm about experience. I love, I let him brew. So when we opened this was like a little closet area, and I ended up blowing out the wall and building it up and building this bar because I wanted someplace where people could come in and have a unique experience.
This bar behind us, that wasn't there?
It wasn't there.
Okay.
So we built this in the past year, and I'm about a customer experience. That's why we call Brews, Bites, and Spirits, because we want, if you want to come in and have a great beer, you're gonna find it here. If you want great food, you're gonna find it here. If you want some of the highest end liquors,
I'm looking at that right now. There's Weller Full Proof up there. You got E.H. Taylor. I mean, I'm a bit of a bourbon snob, so I'm looking up there. I'm thinking
we got Boss Hog.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't hesitate. We're not about.
You're not messing around.
Yeah. And if people want to drink a little, they want to drink a lot. They want to have a good beer. I mean, our patio is I'll go out there and have a nice little 3 sheets and a shot of Weller's and a cigar and sit and have just a great experience.
That's a good night right there.
Yeah. So that's what we want to do. We want to create the experience. So all of our marketing and our events are circled around, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it the best way.
Sure.
I'm not going to go in and I'm not going to just try to check a box. So if we have trivia, it's going to be full on trivia. If we have karaoke, it's going to be full band karaoke. It's like on stage. We do dueling pianos. We have live music. We have we do every holiday outside of Mardi Gras, but we're working on Mardi Gras next year.
Baby steps.
I've always thought Mardi Gras just doesn't fit in anywhere outside of New Orleans, so I don't know why people.
We're going to find a way to make it fit in it.
All right, yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
So we just like to have an experience. We want people to go away and say, God, that was great. And, I don't want them to just come in and just spend 45 minutes and eat, and then go.
Right.
You know, I've been in the corporate world. I've been where like they wanted their guests in 2000 and late 90s. They wanted 45 minutes. Got to get them in and out. Got to reseat that table.
Turn over the table.
Turn over those tables.
Right.
I'm like going, someone wants to sit here for 3 hours. I could care less. It's
right.
Like, well, I want people to have a good time.
And you kind of know a little bit about that because your career, you were in charge of the Front Row Fridays. So people are there for 3 hours, doing that sort of thing. So you got to make sure that they're having a good time, because they're not going to leave during a baseball game. You're not turning over that table, right?
You're not turning the table over. People are sitting. You got to make sure that they're having a good time. If the Diamondbacks aren't making them have a good time, you're having them have a good time, right?
There you go.
So I was there for a long time, and I was a lot of restaurants, but corporate world and mom and pop. So I'm about the experience.
Yeah.
A
little bit about this area, the Ahwatukee area. I've always kind of found to be, and I don't live in the area, but I've been down here enough times that it just doesn't seem like breweries have ever kind of stuck around or been a big part of this area. Am I right to kind of assume that? And why is that?
It's an older area. I mean, it's I think it's 50 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long Ahwatukee's been here, but to me, one of the most iconic breweries in this valley existed here, right across the street. Rock Bottom.
The Rock Bottom, yeah.
And the Rock Bottom that was here was I think in the history or the annals of the valley's craft beer history, it was one of the originals.
Is the hub over there now? Is that what that is?
That's where the hub's at now. But I do feel, and this like one of the things I sort of base some of my menu around, and this might kind of lead to a question I answered earlier, is the crowd that was there still lives, that used to frequent that place, that were regulars or Mug Club members or whatever they are. They still live in the valley or in the area in Ahwatukee, and there are customers now. So that's sort of what I'm going towards as far as my beer styles, at least initially. So yeah, it's not a big craft beer area, but to a certain degree, there's the history of it is sort of iconic to me, at least. Being part of the brewing community here for a lot of years.
Well, it's interesting because we've talked to the owner of Wren House, who during COVID, when they were making deliveries, found that Ahwatukee was by far and away their number one customer for all of their beer. That's why they're planning, I think they're still planning to open up that European beer hall, beer style hall, whatever it's called. I don't know. I forget where it's an old like Serrano's or something like that.
I know exactly where it's at.
I think Goldwater's now moving into the neighborhood pretty soon.
We kind of like to think that we're the reason.
Good.
They're all following our footsteps. That's what I like.
We proved it was viable.
There you go. Well, we and other breweries we talked to say they always use the same moniker that the rising tide floats all boats, right? So if Ahwatukee now becomes a craft beer destination, you guys are already kind of cemented in here as the go-to and the first one, right?
Yeah. And we're very bought into Ahwatukee. Like I said, I've lived here for 17 years, and so I know a lot of the regulars, and we know a lot of the people, and we welcome Goldwater and Wren House. I mean, we want more people to know that in the area and get to know our beers.
Yeah.
But I think we've made it to where people can understand that you can make it in Ahwatukee. It's a really nice community, and
yeah, it's always seemed kind of odd that like there's not really a go-to brewery that you can name up until now with Wicked. You can't really all right, we got to go down to Ahwatukee to hit up this one place. Yeah. And Uncle Bear's was everywhere, and they're still everywhere. But now coming here and having Zach's beers from Wicked, I'm like, this is a good spot to come to now, right?
We think so.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because we are the farthest south in Phoenix. It's
right.
we're we're the closest to Maricopa and Tucson. It's like, this is your first stop. So
yeah, everyone in Maricopa, by the way, comes up to I-10 and Ray to do their kind of shopping and dining and going out type of thing. So
it's a little different being further south we're technically Ahwatukee is still part of Phoenix. So it's, that is a little bit of the factor, but I think people are starting to realize that this area is very viable for craft brewery.
And you guys are always involved in the like the beer festivals. You were at our Arizona Craft Beer Awards Festival.
Oh yeah.
We saw you at Strong Beer. I saw you at Strong Beer for the first time I heard about Wicked was Strong Beer in 2022. And you guys had like the big robotic arm that was serving beer, and you like pressed the button. I took video of it. I'll have to dig that up and add this to that. But where did that come from? Like, is that like, do you have like an engineering background like every other brewery in town, or?
We had basically some regulars at right up the road, and they had the arm, and we were all like sitting and like said, let's look at it.
So that came from a customer?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
There's a lot of engineers now with you.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of those people, a lot of them down here. So.
And a lot of them like to brew beer, from what I found. Some of them own breweries now. So, Wicked, you have this jacket on that I'm looking at, WCKD, like the four, like where does that name come from? Are you guys like big fans of the Broadway show, or what's going on there?
Wicked we looked at Wicked, and I wanted a single word that could really just define us. I like Wicked as how it created, just the how you act, the way that you perform your life. And I also looked at it going, well, I could go to Boston and I could be a wicked pissa. And,
yeah, right, right.
Or I could go to Kansas and be Dorothy and it was a big part of us becoming a KU bar and a Kansas City bar, because Wicked is big in the Midwest, and you've got the Wizard of Oz and the play and you could go surfing and it's the stoner in you is gonna, hey dude, that's Wicked, man. And so it's like
Wicked does have a lot of connotations, a lot of usage. It's very, very pliable and versatile.
That you do. And so we came up with that. WCKD we used because we needed to be, that trademark avenue. We couldn't use just straight Wicked.
Right.
We could use Wicked Brews, Bites, and Spirits. So it was more of a trademark issue, and Wicked we came to, and it was the wording that we came up with.
Okay. So, because it almost looks like a shield. I didn't know if that was like, the W has like a part of it, and the C stands for something, or the K.
No,
you guys could probably come up with something. I can help you with that.
Well, we did. These are my first two initials.
Yeah.
Charles Whittier, and this is my wife's first two initials, Deanna Catherine. So we have that little thing that goes for us, but she likes to say that.
That's news to me.
She found that.
You've been calling him Chip the whole time. You're like, oh wait, his name's Charles? What?
And probably some other things.
Yeah.
So, Wicked, what kind of food do you guys want? The food part. What do you want to be known for here? Is there like a go-to dish that you would recommend if somebody came here for the first time? Like, I got to have Wicked's best. What is it?
First off, we love all of our food, so we don't have a 90 item menu. We have about a 40 to 45 item menu. We want to be as craft as possible. So I gave full leeway to Chef G to make whatever he wanted to make on the menu, and we give our input, sort of like we give Zach input on brewing, but Zach's got the final say in what he wants to make. And I mean, he's the expert. And so we leave it to him, but we have some good dishes. I think our fish and chips is amazing. It's the eye-popping wowness of it, just when it going out to a table.
I think it's the best
You
in
know.
the valley.
Yeah.
The fish and chips.
I do
Fish and chips.
truly believe it's the best in the valley.
You know, it's two massive pieces of fish, hand breaded. We do it fresh, you know, to order. Everything we do is fresh to order. You know, we're cutting potatoes right when it come right when the fry order comes out. I mean, everything we want to do is fresh and creative. I think Chef G has come up with some great dishes that are respectful to the gluten-free, you know, people and to vegetarians and to all different aspects. But I probably the fish and chips would be our go-to. But we're just a craft restaurant.
Yeah, that's always good to have. I can imagine that with the Hefeweizen there. Like that would pair real nice, right?
I mean, the idea initially, and yes, I mean, we all had our say, and Chef G put it all together. But you know, I had my ideas that I wanted on the menu. I'm sure Chip had his, and everybody had theirs. Fish and chips were certainly high up on there. I knew I was heavy on that, but like things like the Reuben, a good bar burger, you know, wings are automatic. You know, what I mean.
Yeah, brewers always kind of have their favorite kind of go-tos. Yeah.
You know, but we the things that were really dear to my heart were those true pub sort of things.
Yeah.
Right? Your fish and chips, and that pastrami / Reuben's sort of sandwich, things like that. I mean, Chef nailed those. I mean, his fish and chips again. I really do truly think they are the best in the valley, not just from the portion you get, but the texture and the rest. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate over fish and chips. What do you guys use for the fish?
We use pollock.
Oh, okay.
We can use larger pieces and it has just as good a flavor. So we're go-to on that. We've searched. I mean, I think cod is excellent, but we really like the pollock.
Yeah, I don't stay up on that debate, but just by the way, but my co-host, if he was here, Johan, he would probably chime in on cod, something about cod. I don't follow it all that much, but
cod is like I mean, a lot of people, we wanted to try something different and we tasted all of them and this one turned out better. So we wanted to go with that.
I don't think we could have pulled off the appearance of our fish and chips with cod.
Right.
I truly do. I mean, if you look at this thing coming out of the kitchen, I mean, it's eye-popping. So, and that's what you want. You know, you want to have fun and have a good time. And when you watch that fish and chips come out, I mean, now you know you're in the pub.
I can even talk about we've got a buffalo bacon burger that Chef G created, and Chef G's Native American, and an amazing burger with a fresh Virginia bun that we get locally from our bakery, and he just killed it. It's called a Tatanka, and it's a fresh buffalo burger.
Yeah,
people love it.
You mentioned that, so he's Native American. What kind of like experience does that lend to the kitchen?
He has free reign to make whatever he wants, and he does know that, like, this is a brewery, but he does bring in his creativeness. Our Tatanka sauce on our breakfast. We have one called the Four Corners that celebrates the Navajo Nation up there in the Four Corners, and it's a massive, just huge burger with hatch green chili sauce and the red chili sauce, and he just killed it on it. But it's definitely he has all the influences that he likes to bring in from his community.
Well, very cool. Thank you guys so much for having me here to Wicked. It's my first time here. I appreciate it. Zach is just knocking out some great beers. Is this like an Irish red type of beer is what I'm kind of tasting here?
You know, I wouldn't say it's an Irish red, but it's definitely a heavy American red.
Okay.
You know, I like a little bit more body. You know, I'm a big malt guy. You know, I know the world loves their hops these days. So my coach always, like I said, told me to go to the open spot on the court. You know, and I love my malt. So, you know, it's balanced. There's some hot bitterness in there, but I really love my malt. There's a lot of good malt character to that. chocolate and caramel and you name it. But yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of beer or several beers on that flight that I don't think I've had in a while. And it kind of goes to what you were saying that, man, bring back these styles that were once great. They're still great.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get them here at Wicked, right?
Yeah. And we still do all the new ones too. But it's just, it's an homage to the craft a little bit. And honestly, my clientele is what I think they truly want. So we're trying to kind of do whatever we do, we try to do towards whatever they want. You know what I mean? So we're adapting to what they're asking for.
And you mentioned earlier in this that you think you have some beers that can win awards, right? Are you guys involved in so we had the Arizona Craft Beer Awards last October, where we judged and presented awards. Are you guys planning to submit more this year for awards?
We didn't submit any last year. I think we're about we're just a little over 2 years old now.
Right.
And I think we'll probably start going into some and submitting some for our awards. But I think Zach wanted to tweak his recipes and get his recipes the way that he wanted them. And we didn't get into this just to win awards. I just know that his talent, we could win awards, and so I'm not really worried about that. But we wanted to get in and just make it where we could make some great beers.
Yeah.
And I think now that we are a little over 2 years old now, I think we'll probably start joining that community and start submitting some.
Yeah, is that important to be recognized for awards, or how do you feel about that?
I look at it this way. Obviously, everybody likes to win an award and have a medal on their mantelpiece or whatever. But I appreciate my guests, and them coming in and drinking it over and over again is kind of my award.
For sure.
To me, I'd love to have it publicized and whatnot, but again, that's not what we do it for. We do it for the guests, and again, watching them drink it over and over again and come back for it is kind of my award. And if there's something that you can put on, put a title on it or whatever, that's great too. But I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what we do this for. Is again the experience and people having a good time. So yeah, I'd love to win some awards, but I think I've already won some of those awards just by the smile on people's faces here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we go through, we have a small system here. We have 4 16-barrel fermenters. And we go through a lot of our core beers to where, we run out. I mean, you go through 32 kegs of one style in 6 weeks. That, like you said, that's an award to us. That means that our guests like what they're drinking.
Yeah. You guys are doing good stuff down here in Ahwatukee. Check them out. It's Wicked Brews, Bites, and Spirits. There you nailed it that time. Chip and Zach, thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.